What is up, YouTube? This is Angel here from Strength is First, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about GPP and what I would recommend for GPP if you are starting to lift weights and if you want to lift maximal weights, if that's your goal. So let's get into it. So I'm going to first start off with my introduction of what I was doing for the first 9 years of strength training. So I came from a basketball background, started playing when I was about 6 years old, and definitely kept playing all the way up until college, until I was introduced to strength training when I was a senior in high school. So for the first 1 or 2 years, I was definitely still sprinting, doing jogs, doing miles, doing cone drills for basketball. So I definitely did a lot of GPP for basketball, but it definitely has some indirect translation to my strength training. So as I got a little bit stronger in my first 1 or 2 years, I was falling into the YouTube paradigm, the programs that were out at the time. They were talking about how if you wanted to get stronger, you gotta eliminate the exercises that were not contributing to the powerlifting movements. So the squat, the bench, and deadlift, if it did not fall in the line with those exercises, you gotta eliminate it because it's taking away from your recovery, the lost specificity. So me, at the time, I was thinking, hey, all this basketball training, all of this running, what's it doing? It shouldn't be aiding, or it's not helping my 1 rep max. So I I kind of quickly cut away those activities, and I trained like that for a couple years until about a few years back. So I was pretty consistent, probably maybe 3, 4, 5 years I was training like that. And then my training got really stale. Felt run down in the ground. I was always tired. I was always very fatigued in intro workout. Didn't know why. I thought it was just because of hard training, but I knew I didn't do any running, didn't do any cardio. I was not conditioned, and it was just hard to recover from my sets. So I knew from then on out, I made a pivot slightly in my program. Even though the programs didn't say to do that, I made it from my own choice because I knew something was a little off. So I started introducing more exercise variability. I included a couple more accessories, and that slowly fixed the problem. But I was still unconditioned, but it brought me to where I am now. And if you watch my last video, I was researching on YouTube, and I found the conjugate system. I found Matt Wenning and his principle, his framework about using exercises that promote your deficient muscle groups as GPP. It just clicked instantly, and I knew I had to try it, and that's what I'm currently doing now, and it's been really good. I can't believe I didn't think about this earlier. It seemed like just a brilliant way to approach programming, approaching getting stronger, and approaching longevity. It just checks off the boxes as if you go down a checklist. And I can't believe I wasn't introduced to this idea a while back when I was grinding out weights, focusing on volume, intensity, and frequency. But it's been a good run though. But back to the topic, what do I recommend GPP work for the lifter that's trying to lift maximal weights, 1 rep maxes? So I think there's 2 different types of lifters that fall into this category. One that comes from a athletic background, and the one that has a more sedentary lifestyle and just got introduced to lifting weights. So for the first one, let's say you did come from a sport or multi-sport, and so you've been running, you are conditioned, you do GPP work, even though that's not what it's called. You're performing aerobic work for your sport. I went down the rabbit hole of eliminating it completely, just completely focus on the powerlifting movements. It could have been a mistake, but I knew I had to do that experiment with myself to know that if this worked for me, I had to continue doing it to get stronger. But it didn't really work, so I have that info to process. And I think the answer for that athlete that has some sort of aerobic capacity is that you need to find that balance in the middle. You gotta walk the tightrope. The answer isn't to eliminate all of your aerobic work completely, but at the same time, if you keep practicing as much as you do, it will hinder your recovery. It will tax you a little bit. You will need to spread out and be more strategic with your maximal lifts, your strength lifts. So you will have to cut it down depending on the athlete and how well you recover. You have to cut it back a bit. How much, you have to decide. It could be, back then when I was playing basketball, I was playing every day. So, and a lot of programs that I'm seeing now with GPP, where it's definitely not every day. So it really depends on your level, your comfortability of experimenting. There's no one answer fits all. So what works best for you is the answer for you. Maybe for you, cutting back from every day to 5 days a week is the answer for you. Maybe even 3 days. But I definitely think experimenting with your blocks every couple of weeks, you're tweaking it a little bit. Definitely don't go drastic like me and cut everything. But maybe that's the answer for you. Maybe the perfect amount of GPP work because you're so conditioned and for you, and you respond extremely well to just volume, intensity, and frequency, that if you remove all GPP and you just focus on that, your lifts blow up and you're a world champ. So who knows? Who really knows? And for the other athlete, the one that's more sedentary and just got introduced to powerlifting, I think you definitely need to include GPP work from the start. It could be once or twice a week. Different protocols say different things, but you definitely need to include it. Your work capacity is very small, your base is very small, so we need to widen it in order for you to continue to lift maximal weight. And it's not just for that, it's for health, your heart health, it's for the respiratory function. It has a lot of other metabolic and life benefits in addition to just helping you lift more maximal weight and being able to tolerate higher volumes and intensities and frequencies. So for that second athlete, you definitely need to include it, but how much you ramp up might be up to you again, but you definitely start off once or twice a week. So hope these answers are helpful for you guys, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.